Hey, welcome to the live stream. The topic of tonight's stream is, can you still live in Mexico on $1,000 a month? Because inflation has been going crazy here in Mexico too. The peso has risen a lot against the dollar. So now that your dollars buy a lot fewer pesos than they did a year ago, like 20 or 25% fewer. So with these things coming together, it is making it harder for foreigners like myself to live in Mexico who are earning dollars outside of the country. But can you still live in Mexico on $1,000 a month? I think the answer is a resounding yes. But I put out this video today of like 5 different cities that I think you can live a really good life in on $1,000 budget a month. So that's why I wanted to talk about it in a stream, answer any questions you had. In that video, I was talking a little bit about each city, what you can expect there, like average temperatures, what it's like, what there is to do, what kind of conveniences there are, and whatnot. But in addition to that, I also went and showed you guys real estate options, both for rent and for purchase. So I thought it was a pretty good overview of like these places you could live in. And I have this idea that I want to start doing some vlogs in these places as well to show you a little bit more, because a lot of these, they're not the super popular places, because the super popular places are more expensive. But if you're choosing the more unknown places around Mexico, well, then many of those are still very, very affordable. Joseph asks, is this live? Yes. Hey, Trish, good to see you here. Catching you live. Yay, nice mic. Yeah, I picked up this a little while back. It's improving the sound a lot. I still have a little bit of an echo here, so I think I need to like put something on the walls. Up late? Yeah, I wasn't planning on doing a stream today, but I wasn't sleeping, so I'm like, hey, why not? Because I usually do streams on Sunday nights when I do streams. Do. I'm sorry, I'm so immature. Uh, Cindy says the video is great. Thanks, Cindy. Yeah, got lots of great feedback on that. It hasn't been viewed a whole lot yet. I think it's pretty intimidating because it's 50 minutes long. But based on like the back end stats, I know it's going to get a lot of views in the long run. But I mean, not everyone has 50 minutes free the moment they see the video. So a lot of times it takes some time to for people to watch it. Victoria asks, hey, Jordan, where's your sidekick? Beautiful Mai. She's just relaxing tonight. Dylan says, I just found your channel a few days ago. My plan is to retire well before 60. Do you still think it will still be possible in the future to live cheaper in Mexico? I'm 30 now. I mean, Dylan, it's so hard to predict like many years into the future. I mean, who knows what could happen? And I don't know when you're planning to retire, but let's say it's 45. One of my favorite authors, he says, no matter what you think of the world today, it will be completely different 15 years from now. Like everything you think today will be completely different. And it changes like crazy every 15 years. And this guy has literally driven around the world twice. And by literally, I mean like literally going to every single country. So he's seen a lot, and he's getting up there in age. So he's had a lot of experience. So if you're planning to retire at 45, who knows what the world's going to be like 15 years from now. Jonathan says you can easily live in Mexico way under $1,000 a month. I agree. Like I've said before that I think I could live in Mexico if I had to, all expenses included, for $300 a month. Now that the dollar has dropped against the peso and there's been inflation, maybe I need to up that to like 350. But yeah, I think I could live for well under $1,000 a month, and a lot of people here do. Uh, but you can't be going to the most expensive cities, the most popular tourist destinations if you want to do that. V, thanks for the super chat. Really appreciate that. First super chat of the night. Uh, Hi, Jordan. It's been a while. Hope you're doing well, my friend. It's late here. Just wanted to say hello to you, Maya, and Alaska. Thank you very much. It's late here, too. It was a daylight savings time here today. So right now it's 10, but I don't know if it would be 9 or 11. I forget which way the clock moved. Victoria says, give her our love and tell her we miss her. Thanks. I will. Christina says, the inflation here is crazy like everywhere else. Yeah, it's been going nuts. It's been making it hard for a lot of people. Jonathan says, I used to live in Colonia Escandon in Mexico City, many $200 a month apartments. Yeah, in today's video, I showed quite a few options that were in like the 200 to 300 or $400 a month range. And there were, in various cities, there are surprisingly nice options for like $300. How little money you spend depends on how frugal you are. Yeah, depends on what city you're living in, what kind of location you want, what kind of amenities you're okay with in your home. Um, Also, how frugal you are. Like, do you shop at the local markets, or are you buying fancy meats at the grocery store? I mean, you living here, you could spend $10,000 a month, or you could spend a few $100s a month. It all depends on you. V says, "Good night, Jordan, and good night to everyone." Well, hey, thanks for joining, V. We're just starting the stream, so I'm planning to be on here for a little while. If anyone else wants to stay up with me, Miss Angie says, "I'm in Cabo and I pay 340 a month." That actually really surprises me, Angie, because Cabo is known to be one of the more expensive cities around the country. But like, if you're using the tricks that I was teaching you in today's video, you can find those cheap rentals. It's very possible. Um, I mean, even as little as like $50 a month, if for like a shared room, and I mean not a shared room, but like a room rented in a house. Christina asks, "What do you think it would cost a family of 4 or 5 a month?" Uh, it totally depends on the city. So let's say, one of the cities I talked about in today's video was Pachuca Hidalgo. It's it's a very affordable city. So uh, a family of, just call it a family of 5. So 2 adults, 3 kids. Um, I mean, you can get rentals that would fit your whole family easily for $300 a month there, and it's not crappy rentals either. They're pretty nice, uh, and fairly new. So $300 a month with 5 people to feed. I mean, you could still do it for under 1,000 for sure. But it depends on how much entertainment you're planning to do, how many times a week you're going to go out to eat, uh, if you're going to take trips and things like that. Um, I mean, if I had like family of 5 living in Pachuca Hidalgo, if I had $1,500 a month, I feel like I could live an awesome life. City Style Boxing asked, "Is Oaxaca safe to travel?" So yeah, there's a city of Oaxaca and the state of Oaxaca. Speaking of the state of Oaxaca, it's not one that I hear a lot about in terms of dangers. So I would assume that yes, it's a pretty safe place to travel. There are a few states around the country where I would say no, based on what I hear, it's not very safe to travel. But Oaxaca is not one of those. Best city for tortas ahogadas. You got to go to Guadalajara. And thanks for the super chat. Appreciate that. Yeah, good point, Christina. What do you mean by safe? Oaxaca mountain roads are a bit treacherous terrain-wise. Uh, they've they were supposed to complete a new highway going from Oaxaca City to the coast that would get you there in a couple of hours, and it was going to be like more of a straight shot. Whereas right now, if you want to go from Oaxaca City to the coast, it's winding through all of these treacherous mountain roads. So, yeah, in terms of safety for driving, not safe because I mean, anytime you're on roads like that, it's just there's no way around it. It's just not safe to do that. But they were supposed to have that new road built a few years ago, and I still don't think they've completed it, but hopefully soon. Maybe they have, and I just haven't heard an update. They've been saying that highway will be done in a year for several years. Yeah, that's kind of how things go. Can you discuss selling all of your belongings and moving to Mexico? Yeah, so this is something I did about 5 years ago. And when I did it, like basically, I could have made it a lot easier and just given most of everything away, but I really needed the money. I needed the money to be able to have some funds to start like traveling through Mexico. So I wasn't really an option for me to give it all away. So I think I started seriously like hunkering down and trying to work hard to sell everything about 6 months before leaving. And that wasn't nearly enough time. I thought it was going to be plenty of time, but no. So like the earlier you can start selling stuff, the better. I would recommend starting a year beforehand if you can, and try to list things for sale every single day. Like every single day, make a goal to list 5 or 10 things for sale, and then you'll be able to clear out the house by the time you're leaving. But for me, the app OfferUp worked great. Oh, there's a mosquito. Yeah, OfferUp was awesome. And for like, it's a free app to use where you can buy or sell things. And then for the more expensive items, I would pay to promote the items, and that would generally get me a little bit better price. But it's really only worth it for those more expensive items, like talking in the hundreds of dollars. But yeah, that was a huge help. Mary says, "Hello from upstate New York. You two are fabulous." Thanks, Mary. Appreciate you watching. Have you ever gotten dengue? Oh, thank goodness, no. I do not want dengue fever. Stacy asks, after first year, what do you need to prove to get renewed? I'm pretty sure Stacy is talking about temporary residency. So After you get temporary residency, you get it. It's first valid for 1 year, and then you can renew it for 3 more years. And then after the 4 years total, you can convert it to permanent residency. After that first year is up, you don't need to prove anything. No, you just need to fill out the forms and pay the fees to immigration, and then you get your renewal. No monetary or like no income proof is necessary. I thought I was going to die. Dengue is the worst ever. Yeah, I've heard awful things from people. The Art of Will says a mosquito in April already. We've had a few rains so far this year. There aren't a ton of mosquitoes around. Oh, speaking of mosquito, I see it on the wall now. I lost it. But okay, that's my mosquito murder weapon. Karina says, hi, visit Jalpan de Serra Querétaro. It's a beautiful place. Actually, we went there. We went there not too long ago. As a matter of fact, I'll link to the video in the chat here. Just give me one moment. I'll pull it up. Okay, clicking over to the channel here. Where is it? Where is it? Jalpan. Okay, it's this one. Now I'm going to post it in the chat. And if you haven't seen that, you can watch it there. It was a fun vlog. But yeah, it was cool. I liked it. By the way, if you guys aren't familiar with that place, it's a Pueblo Mágico, or what in English translates to a magic town. And the Mexican government designates a number of towns around Mexico as magic towns. And they're magic towns because they have some history or art culture or food or something very unique about them. And there's like 130 of them around the country. Jalpan de Serra is one of them. It's up in the mountains in the state of Querétaro. And it's a cool place. Another one that you pass by on the way there is Pinal de Amoles. I really want to spend some time in Pinal de Amoles. Stacy asked, where's a good place to look for rentals fully furnished? I mean, depending on your budget, like if your budget is under $500 a month, like Facebook Marketplace. If your budget is over $500 a month, there's this website called Inmuebles 24.com. I'll put that in the chat, but if you watch today's video, you'll see me go to that website quite a few times. And there's others too. I just think Inmuebles 24 is the most user-friendly of them, but there's propiedades.com and a number of others. Do they do any neighborhood fogging for mosquitoes like in the States for West Nile? When I was living in Puerto Morelos, which is near Cancun, they did it there. I don't know about here though. There aren't, the mosquitoes just aren't that bad here in Querétaro. I mean, like people who are from here think they're bad, but they're not. Like I grew up in Lake Country in Minnesota. I know what bad mosquitoes is like, and here there's maybe 1/100th of what there was there. Are there any cool casinos in Mexico at the level of Las Vegas casinos? I don't know if there's any at the level of Las Vegas casinos outside of Macau. Uh, I mean, there's a lot of mosquitoes around. Mosquitoes. Okay, I guess I'm kind of tired. There's a lot of casinos around here, but they're just very basic. Mhm. You looking to move again, Tangerine? Moving houses, definitely. When this lease is up, we're getting out of here. Uh, we probably won't leave Querétaro, at least not permanently. But eventually, I would love to like live here for maybe the warmer months of the year and live near the beach during the winter. I'd like that. RA says I've seen them fog in Puerto Vallarta. Yeah, I think it happens more in the places where mosquitoes are worse. Stacy, thanks for the super chat. Do any of the Mexican banks offer English apps for banking? I don't know. Yeah, sorry. I wish I had a better answer for you. Cesar says, "Hey Jordan, not related, but did you know there's a song about your girlfriend? Check out My by Kaba. I'm pretty sure she knows that song." Okay. Thanks for the recommendation. PDX Dave says, "Is San Miguel de Allende considered an expensive city to live in?" Yeah, yeah, it's definitely in the top 10% in Mexico. And I've met a few people who have a house there, and all of their houses, every single one of them, would sell for over $1 million. So, like, yes, there's a lot of people, a lot of locals there who are living in much cheaper accommodations and much lower end, but the the foreigners who tend to move, like the foreigners who move there, tend to be pretty wealthy. Oh, I think someone's answering that question about are there any English apps? And Joseph says Banamex. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Sue says hello. Thanks for all the great videos. Puerto Vallarta is my go-to place. Stay well. Yeah. Uh, thanks for watching, Sue. The first time I visited Puerto Vallarta, I didn't think it was right for me. But then I went back a few years later and I loved it. So I'm hoping to visit again soon. Victoria asked, "Do you still have the second dog?" Yeah. Yeah, Bimba's great. Mad Max says, "Hey Jordan, dude, you're killing it. What was for dinner?" My mom is from Mexico. A lot of lakes by you, Max? Not a lot of lakes by me. What was for dinner? I'm terrible at remembering what I ate. Is anyone else as bad as me at that? Like trying to remember what I ate for breakfast, what I ate yesterday. It's awful. Oh, what the heck did we have? Oh, yeah, yeah, we had seafood. We went to this one restaurant that's super high rated. It's in Juriquilla. It's called Marimar. Uh, and it was it was good. I liked it. It didn't wow me, um, but I enjoyed everything I had. And I had like a shrimp taco and an octopus taco, and then a shrimp quesadilla. Well, it was like a shrimp empanada, but for some reason they called it a quesadilla. Do you prefer the west coast of Mexico over the Riviera Maya? So there's things I like about each. So I like the Riviera Maya because it has a super Bimba. Bimba's barking. I like the Riviera Maya because it has a super blue water. Uh, I also like it because it has the Cancun airport. Now I despise the Cancun airport. However, Cancun and Mexico City are generally the two cheapest places to fly into in Mexico because they're the busiest airports. So for cheaper flights, Cancun and the Riviera Maya is great. Bimba, quiet. Bimba. She must have heard something outside the door. I'm gonna go get her. I'll be right back. Okay. Okay. You ready for your first live stream? Okay. What else was this talking about? Okay, so in the Riviera Maya, I also like that they have the ancient ruins there. I love the Tulum ruins. I love the Cobah ruins, which are about 45 minutes from Tulum. Uh, they also have Chichen Itza, which I haven't been to, which is a shame. Now, over there, there's some downsides. Like, you get a ton of seaweed. It used to just be in the summers, but now it seems like it's almost year round, where they get all of this sargasso on washing up on the beaches. It's so gross. It smells awful, and a lot of times it's really bad. Um, I like I like the West Coast. You don't have the super blue waters, but you also don't get the seaweed. Um, you don't have any cheap airports to fly into. Puerto Vallarta isn't too bad. You can oftentimes find cheap airfare to Puerto Vallarta, but it's not as easy as Cancun is. Uh, what else? Something else I love about the West Coast is you get the sunsets over the water there, whereas you don't get those over the water. You get sunrises over the water in the Riviera Maya, and I'm never awake early enough to enjoy those. Um, Now you can get the sunsets over the water if you're on the west coast of Cozumel, and that is beautiful. And also on the west coast of Cozumel, you don't get the seaweed either because it's all blocked by the island, and you get it on the east side of the island. But yeah, those are some of my pros and cons. Oh, and also like in the Cancun area, there's tons of scammers, and the prices are quite a bit higher. So there's of course pros and cons to both. Bimba, what were you barking at? Hmm. Good girl. Good girl. Hmm. I really enjoy watching your channel, even though I'm primarily in automotive and commercial window tinting. Yeah, I'm not sure where the overlap is, but hey, glad you enjoy it. Yes, I love the cenotes over there on the East Coast as well. You don't get those on the West Coast. Cancun Airport is hell. Horrible. Horrible. I hate the Cancun Airport so much. Stacy, thanks for the super chat. She says, before you said you loved your house. What changed? There's still a lot I love about it. It's a nice place. But it has a few things that we don't like. So, number one, we're not super close to many of the places we like to go, especially restaurants. So, for that reason, we don't really like the location. Number two, the internet is awful, and I work online. Now, when the internet is working, it's fine, but it goes out at least once a week for us. So it's just unacceptable. And I've tried having a second internet provider, but there's only one internet provider where we live, and they're awful. And third, the administrators of this gated community are a nightmare. So for those three reasons, we're going to be leaving. Roberto asks, on which airline do you find cheap flights to Cancun? I mean, I think you can find cheap flights to Cancun on all the airlines, but Bimbo, you want to say hi? But it just depends. Like, I like to use Google Flights, and you can search from like your home airport or nearby airports, and then it will give you the dates with the cheapest options. Also, there's an app. What's it called? Hopper. Hopper is great. Like hopper as in bunny hopping, right? So that will tell you like when it's the best time to book, or like it will say, we predict that flights are going to get cheaper. And then it'll send you an email like, you should book now because based on our algorithms, we predict that flights are only going to get more expensive. So yeah, but I try to stick with one airline alliance to get and keep status, because there's all this hair floating around. Because airline status just makes flying so much better. And I fly enough that I can maintain status. So I'm typically flying Delta or Aeromexico when flying around the US and Mexico. So I've been able to find cheap flights using those airlines, but I mean, there's a lot of options out there. Do you want to get down? Okay, let you down. You gonna stop barking? Here you go. Henry, thanks for the super chat. Really appreciate that. Hey, Jordan, are you still able to stream American sports in Mexico? There was a service that I was subscribed to. It was called Star Plus. And there you pay like 10. There, Beanba is barking again. You pay like $10 a month, and you get all of like the U.S. sports, which is great. But this year, I tried signing up for it for hockey season, and they wouldn't accept my foreign credit card. So I was never able to sign up for it, which was frustrating. Um, and what are your thoughts on Kevin Durant playing with the Phoenix Suns now? I haven't kept up with the Suns, Henry. So I mean, he's a big time player, but hopefully they can do something with him on the team. Connie, this isn't something I get very often. Hello from South Dakota, Deadwood, South Dakota. My parents grew up in South Dakota. Excuse me. Tess says, do not watch that often. Do you still have Alaska? Yes. Yeah. She's getting old, though. She's 13 years old, and she's having a lot of health problems lately, and throwing the kitchen sink at her, trying to like do whatever I can to like help her live a better life at this old age. But she's having a lot of joint pain, and also she's having trouble maintaining her muscle in her back legs. She's losing muscle there, which is making it hard for her to do things. But yeah, we have recently bought some new supplements for her, and some new light therapy devices, which have been helping a lot. So hopefully we can keep her healthy for a while longer. Bimba. Francis asks, is it weird getting your hair cut in Mexico? No, not at all. How loud is the barking for you guys? If you could let me know, I'd appreciate that. Because for me, the barking is really loud, but I don't know how much of that the microphone is picking up. If the barking is bad, I'm going to go down there and do something to make her quiet. Maybe bring her up here again. Is Cancun getting a new airport? Lawrence asked. I heard Tulum is getting a new airport. I haven't heard about Cancun getting a new airport. But if Tulum gets an airport, well, then that will take some of the traffic away from Cancun, allowing people to fly directly to Tulum. Okay. Some people say the barking is loud. Other people say the barking isn't so bad. So since it's annoying for some people, I'm gonna go get her. I'll be right back. Hey, Mom. What? Okay. I think she was just barking at a reflection in the window, so I locked her out of that room. So hopefully that makes it stop. Henry, thanks for the super chat. Jordan, did you know that Canelo Alvarez will be fighting at Akron Stadium in Guadalajara, Mexico on May 6th? Will you and I be going? No, I didn't know that, but that could make a cool video. Thanks for letting me know. The Art of Will says, does Star Plus also include the UFC? I don't remember. Maybe like not like the current fights for sure not those, but maybe replays of old ones. But basically, it's all of your sports channels. So you got football covered, baseball, hockey, golf, like all the sports that are on the main sports channels in the U.S. Stuck in Florida says I can usually fly Delta or American Airlines for under 200 round trip from Orlando to Cancun. Yeah, from Florida to Cancun, there's so many cheap flights of options available, and from Texas too. It really depends on what part of the U.S. you're in. If you're in the southern part, usually you can get them like pretty cheap like that. Do most places take foreign credit cards in Mexico, or do they deal in cash? So if you're paying in person and they accept credit cards, it generally doesn't matter if it's foreign or domestic cards. Like all will, excuse me, all will be accepted. However, on some websites in Mexico, they don't like to accept foreign cards on certain websites. I don't know why there's that difference in person versus online. But yeah, my problem with foreign cards being accepted is exclusively online. Now, some places are still cash only, but most places accept credit cards. Sorry to hear of Laska's health issues. Hard to deal with an aging pet. Yeah, it's really hard to see her not be able to do the things she wants to do. And yeah, she's struggling a lot. And I'm doing everything I can to keep her healthy. But it's expensive and it's time consuming, and it's difficult to see her go through that. Debbie says the barking was making her dog bark. Oh my gosh, sorry about that. And MP says the barking was loud. Your microphone is good. So this podcast microphone, I thought it was like it's supposed to just like pick up things near it. Whereas there's other microphones that are shotgun microphone that will like pick up anything in that direction. But I didn't know. Well, this house is really echoey too, so that's going to cause a problem with it. She's okay. Do your neighbors complain about the barking? No. Our dogs don't bark very much. Like this isn't normal. This barking tonight isn't normal. And there in this gated community that we live in, there are a lot of really loud barking dogs. So our dogs are far from the worst in the community. And plus they're indoor dogs, whereas some of these dogs that live here only live outside, spend all their time outside, and then they're barking like crazy, and they're already outside. So that makes it louder for all the neighbors. Mary says we are going to snowbird in Cancun area for a month for our first time next winter with our dog. Any advice? The place we rented allows dogs. Any advice with flying too? I've actually never flown with a dog, so I can't give you any advice there. I mean, if you already found a rental that is going to accept your dog, that's perfect. And depending on where you're staying, I would say be careful with street dogs. Just like if you're out like with all this hair flying around, getting some allergies. Depending on where you're staying, if there's street dogs, well, then you might have to be careful with them when you're walking your dog. In Cancun, you're probably not going to have that problem, but I have lived some places around the country where that has been an issue. And then, like, basically, when I'm concerned about street dogs, I'll potentially being aggressive, I'll like carry a stick or something with me on our walks. And then usually just holding it above your head is enough to get the dog to run away. I've never actually had to hit a dog or anything. Why don't you post shorts anymore? Um, because it was hurting the channel. It was literally making all of my videos get fewer views. So yeah, I stopped doing it. Uh, However, Maya and I are planning to start creating new shorts that won't just be like clips of our previous content. So we'll see how that works out. Does OXXO accept US MasterCard? Yeah, they accept MasterCard, Visa, American Express. You won't really find Discover Card being accepted here, but the rest, yeah. Have you ever had to deal with police corruption in Mexico? No, I haven't. PJ, thanks for the super chat. Hi, Jordan. Your content has inspired more travel in my life. I've been exploring my country of Mexico. More thanks to your videos and information. Thanks. That's awesome. Glad to hear that you're exploring more of the country. Like, there's a lot of really awesome destinations across Mexico, and there's so much to see. I could travel around this country for probably a lifetime and still be seeing more things every day. I heard some noises. I wanted to make sure the puppy wasn't chewing furniture. Nope, just chewing her bone. Zilla says, make a separate short channel if you need to. Yeah, uh, that's a possibility. I'm gonna see how it works with these new shorts we're planning on making, and we'll see how it goes. And maybe we'll start putting them on a second channel, but I think we'll stick with this main one for now, depending on how it goes, of course. Uh, Camden says, I just noticed I could purchase your channel for a fee a month. What are the extras for paying? Or is it simply more like a donation? So, Camden, you're commenting from Facebook, and what I think you're talking about is subscribing on Facebook. It's weird because subscribing on YouTube is free, but subscribing on Facebook has a cost. And basically, you just get a badge next to your name that says you're a subscriber, and that's all. But it's mostly like uh, a thank you for the videos, more or less. Macon asks, how old am I? I'm 35. Mad Max asks, how are your parents and what do they think of your expat adventures? Would love to see them in a video. They're not really travelers. They both my parents are divorced, but They both live in totally separate areas, and they mostly stay home, or at least near their home. Uh, when I first started off, they were pretty nervous, especially my dad. My dad was really nervous. But then as they watched some videos, the nervousness went away, and now I don't think they think anything of it. Danny says, my husband and I are coming to Mazatlan in a few months as expats. Can we look you up on our way through? I actually don't live there, Danny. I live in central Mexico in the city of Querétaro. Put out a few videos from there recently, but that was just a week-long trip that we did there. Pearl says, I would love to travel in Mexico again. I always enjoyed traveling there. You should. Do you have any children? So far, just perrijos, doctors. Do you see any chemtrails? Uh, I never see any airplane trails around here. No, like in all the years of living in Mexico, I've only seen a few. Chuck says, I'm a military retiree, and I was wondering if there was one particular city that you may have noticed where former service members live. I think I've noticed some like in the Riviera Maya area, like Playa del Carmen, Puerto Morelos, Cancun area. But I don't think that I've really noticed like groups of them. Now, here where I live in Querétaro, I actually came across this US Navy barber shop. So there's this barber here randomly in Querétaro who served in the Navy. But yeah, that's just random, and there's not like a group of former service members here that I know of. Uh, Keisha, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly. Is Playa del Carmen safe to travel? It's it's reasonably safe. It's not the safest city to go to, but I mean, just don't go out walking alone at night and like going out to bars and getting drunk and then walking home alone, and you should be okay. Like exercise caution there, like caution you would in like a major US city. And I think you'll be fine. There is some bad stuff that happens there. Like I hear about shootings and whatnot. There is some cartel activity. Like for example, if you're walking down Fifth Avenue, the main walking street in Playa del Carmen, at least at least someone like me, a younger guy, I'll get offered drugs a lot, and every single one of those people offering me drugs is a low-level cartel member. But they're nothing to worry about now. Don't go there and try to start selling your own drugs or something like that, and exercise regular caution, and you should be good. Like, I would have no issues going there. Like, I wouldn't be concerned. Hmm. Is it safe to drive around and camp in a van? No, I suppose it would depend on where you were staying overnight. Driving around, sure, but if you're like staying in the middle of nowhere where you don't have anyone else around and you're setting yourself up in a place where you could be robbed with no witnesses, well, then that could provide some dangers. But I mean, there's a lot of people who do things like this, and I've never heard of anything bad happening to any one of those people. So at least not like uh, any kind of serious crimes being committed against them. Debbie says regarding that comment, I know people who've done van life on the Baja and didn't have problems. Yeah, and the Baja Peninsula is pretty popular for that kind of thing. And number one is like big reason is you don't have to deal with any temporary import permit. Like you don't need any permits for your cars to go onto the Baja Peninsula, which is great. Like if you're not familiar with it, there's a free zone in Mexico, and that's the entire Baja Peninsula, part of the state of Sonora, within like I forget what it is, like 16 kilometers of the border, and then the state of Quintana Roo. But to get to Quintana Roo, you have to drive through places that aren't free zones, so you have to get your import permit for that. And the import permit is kind of a pain in the butt, but being able to avoid that on the Baja Peninsula is great. Pedro says, "Is it safe to drive from Texas to Puerto Vallarta in my truck, Jordan?" Um, yeah, I don't see any problem with that. So, um, one thing, one thing about a truck though is like 4x4 vehicles are a commodity for the cartels. So those are vehicles they look to steal. So someone driving a truck is much more likely to be the victim of violent carjacking or something like that, or like trying to be run off the road to take your car than someone just driving a car, because they use their 4x4 trucks. They use 4x4 trucks for their operations. So uh, what I would say, what I would suggest in this case is actually what I would suggest to everyone, but just follow the route that Google Maps takes you. It's usually going to take you on the toll road, and also drive during daylight hours. So uh, carjackings and things like that are much more likely to happen at night. So if you can drive during the day, you're going to reduce your risk of things like that. Maria, thanks for the $20 super chat and for being a channel member. I really appreciate that. If you guys don't know, this little symbol next to Maria's name is indicating that she's a channel member. She says, "Hi, Jordan. Greetings to you and Mai from California. What's your favorite sight to see in Querétaro?" Well, I love the central area, especially at night, the historic center of the city. Um, but my favorite sight to see has got to be the aqueduct. The aqueduct running through the city is super impressive. Zilla or Zia says, "Jordan spitting facts. Trucks are way more likely to get jacked." I got robbed in the airport by customs. They took my money out of my hand luggage while I was putting things back in my suitcase. Geez, that sucks. That's actually one I haven't heard before. And Miss Angie says, plus there's a lot of animals that wander around at night. Yeah, there's a number of reasons why you shouldn't drive at night. It's not just uh, carjackings and things like that, but also a lot of the roads aren't very well lit. There's a lot of vehicles on the roads that have one or no working headlights, things like that. There could be potholes that could really ruin your night. Um, there's just a lot of reasons that makes driving during the day a lot safer than at night. Uh, Keisha asks, where would you recommend a safe place to do monthly rentals for the winter months? Uh, Safe place. Like generally, the two safest cities in Mexico are known to be Merida in the state of Yucatan and Querétaro, Santiago de Querétaro, where I'm living right now. So those two are a good place to start, but they're not beach destinations. If you're looking for a beach destination, well then um, maybe like Mazatlan or Puerto Vallarta. Now, Mazatlan was in the news recently for being unsafe, but I think that was just like a fluke thing that lasted a couple of days. And I don't think in general that it's an unsafe place to be. Kenneth asked, where's the cheapest place to be an expat in Baja? Thanks. That's a tough one. Anywhere other than the popular cities, probably. Like, if you just like look at a map and pick any small town and you were to go to that small town, you would probably find that it's very affordable. Now, if you go to the popular cities, they're going to be a lot more expensive than the small towns. And that's a rule that you can pretty much live by throughout Mexico. Are most Mexicans Indians? So there were indigenous people here in Mexico before the Spanish came. So most people here have some sort of indigenous roots. So there's the Mayas, the Aztecs. What else? The Olmecs. There were quite a few civilizations around, and there's a number of others as well. There's Chichimecas, I think it's called, which were like around Querétaro. But yeah, most Mexicans have some sort of indigenous blood. Now, you still see a number of light-skinned Mexicans, and those have mostly European ancestry. Christopher, thanks for the recommendation. He says Rosarito is fairly affordable. And Josie says the word for that is mestizo. Thank you. Victoria asks, have you been to Tecate? There's a health ranch there that I want to go to, but my kids are worried it might be dangerous. I have not been to Tecate yet. It's a place I still need to go to. Back on the $1,000 a month thing, Drew says 90% of Mexican nationals are living in Mexico on under $1,000, not comfortably. So, yeah, most people here, most Mexican nationals are earning less than $1,000 a month. But to say not comfortably, maybe not from your standards. If you're like from the U.S., what you would consider comfortable, but the people I know here who are living here on their wages that they make here in Mexico, they consider themselves living comfortably. Maybe they can't buy everything they want to buy when they want to buy it, but overall, I think they're generally pretty happy and are mostly happy with their situation and the home they're living in. Ricky Bush says, Mexico's a beautiful place. It's a shame that the tourists are the main target for the crime. So, main target for the crime, in terms of like scams, sure. Like, if you go to the popular tourist destinations, the scammers are going after the tourists. But in terms of most other crime, what are the biggest crimes you have to worry about here? Probably like home invasions, break-ins, thefts, someone breaking your window to steal your laptop, phone theft, like motorcycle phone theft, where there's two people on a motorcycle and they ride by and grab your phone out of your hand. Basically, petty robberies, things like that. That's probably your biggest concern in terms of crime. And for those, I don't think tourists are the main target. I think locals are the main target. Not because like people are seeking out locals, but just because there's a lot more locals than there are tourists. But yeah, I mean, sure, as a tourist, you could be the victim of some crimes, but outside of scams, I don't think like tourists are the main target. That's just my take on it. Okay, Serious Slav has some stats here. 80% of Mexicans are mestizo, so like a mix of European and indigenous. 15% are full-blooded native or indigenous, and 5% are white. Okay, I've never seen it broken down like that, so that's very good to know. Thank you. I appreciate that. Mad Max asks, you a fan of Netflix Narcos Mexico, Jordan? Thoughts? I've started this show a few times, but I haven't gotten into it yet. And it seems like there's so many narco shows on Netflix that I can't even keep up with them anymore. But yeah, so I can't say I'm a fan, but I also don't dislike them or anything. Keisha asks, what about Puerto Morelos for winter rentals or purchasing? Yeah, that could be an option. Good thinking. For some stupid reason that didn't come to mind, but yeah, absolutely. Acero y Madera, thanks for the 65 peso super chat. Really appreciate that. When are you visiting Sonora? San Carlos is a great place for visiting and for expats. I want to go to San Carlos so bad. It's beautiful. Don't have any trips planned right now to anywhere, but uh, hopefully it won't be long. Carl asks if I have permanent residency, if I'm working on citizenship. I have temporary residency, and I would like to get citizenship eventually. It's a long path to get there, unless I can take a shortcut. Um, Intense Peppers, thanks for the $5 super chat. How did the process of my getting a visa to visit the US work? Many people apply and never get one. Is there a trick for her medical visits, Vegas, etc.? I have no idea. She had her visa long before, long before I met her. And Joseph asks, am I a timeshare fan? I've never owned a timeshare. Uh, I know people who have timeshares. Some love them, probably more than the people who love them regret buying them. So, I mean, I'm not totally opposed to it, but I would have to do a lot of research and make sure I was getting the right one. What do you think of timeshares? What are all your opinions on timeshares? Have you owned any? Well, for of the people who have owned them, what do you think of timeshares? Do you think it was worth it, or did you regret buying it? Let me know in the chat. Uh, Intense Pepper says, Joseph, why did you say she probably already has one? Aren't US visas almost impossible to get? No, no. Pretty much everyone I know here, pretty much every Mexican I know and have met here in Querétaro has a visa to go to the US. And the process just takes a while. And sometimes they're annoying. Um, like, for example, I've heard of people being denied for no reason, so they reapply and they end up getting it. But the process is pretty slow a lot of times. Now, that's just to visit. To visit the US is what I'm talking about. If you want legal residency in the US, yes, that's very difficult to get. Miss Angie says, I hate timeshares. I had a job at Vedanta. It's a super scam. I'd pass. It's a scam. Never owned one though. Okay. Just say no and take the freebies. Yeah, if I were ever to buy a timeshare, I'd probably do it on the resale market. Like I've done a little bit of research into timeshares available for sale in the resale market, and some of those seem like an all right deal, but they're at a huge discount to what you would pay if buying it during a timeshare presentation. Arcady says, I've had a timeshare in Tahoe for 20 years, and if I could get rid of it easily, I would. Such a waste of money. Like, so a subscriber gifted me a timeshare a timeshare stay during COVID in Playa del Carmen, and that place was awesome. It was so great. I absolutely loved it, and he loves his timeshare. He was so sad that he wasn't able to go that year, um, but I can see why he loves it. I think it was like at the Royal Haciendas or something like that, if I remember right. And my dad has a timeshare, and he enjoys it, and usually finds it to be valuable now, or at least did. I think recently, in the past few years, they were considering selling it. But back when they were using it all every year, well, then they did think they got their money's worth out of it. But yeah, if you don't use it, well, then you're not going to get your money's worth. My brother-in-law had a timeshare. It took him 10 years to get rid of it. Attorneys were involved. Jeez. Sounds awful. Miss Angie says resale is good. Joseph, yes, resale if anything. I mean, the resale market is crazy. Like the prices on there compared to what they'll try to sell you it for at the presentation. Like one they're trying to sell you for $40,000 might be $2,000, or like let's say they start off at 40,000 and then by the time you get to the closer it's 10,000. Well, then on the resale market it's like 2,000. Now, I'm sure not all timeshares have that huge resale discount. I'm sure there's some that are better than others, but I'm kind of speaking out of my ass here. It's just like based on experiences like that other people have told me because I've never owned one. And Diane says, we wouldn't still be owners of ours if we had to pay maintenance fees. We have 6 weeks a year, smaller family owned company. We use ours and love it. Cabo and Cancun. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I always hear like good stories about timeshares. It seems to that the bad stories outweigh the good ones, but like I said, you still come across people who love them. And doing a 3 hour meeting for 100 USD. Oh, sure. And I think you're talking about in Mexico. In other places, I think you can get a lot more than $100. Like if you negotiate with the people in Vegas, for example, I think you can usually negotiate a few $100 worth of goodies or cash or something. But they offer less in Mexico, I think. And Dina says we signed up for one, and once home we canceled. There's a legal amount of time, like 72 hours, to break the contract legally. Glad we did. Oh wow, I'm good at that. Oh, Vegas, baby. That's funny. Mad Max says, off to bed, Jordan. Much appreciated, brother. The dream would be to meet up in Vegas. It's a Joshua tree next week, though. Buenas noches, Max. Well, have a good night. And as a matter of fact, I think I'm going to call it a night as well. It's getting late for me here, and I'm getting kind of tired. So thank you all for joining the stream. Hope you have a good night. I really appreciate you all watching and interacting, leaving comments, and all that. Thanks so much. Have a good night.